In a tournament where one mistake can end everything, only the smartest, calmest, and most adaptable team survives. The 2022 T20 World Cup was filled with shocks, rain interruptions, and unpredictable outcomes. Big teams collapsed, underdogs rose, and pressure reached its peak in every single match. But through all the chaos, one team quietly built momentum, learning, adjusting, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. England didn't start as unstoppable champions. They became one. This is the story of how England mastered pressure, adapted under fire, and conquered the world in 2022. England's journey to the 2022 T20 World Cup title wasn't a story of early dominance. It was a story of adaptation, pressure, and perfect timing. Coming into the tournament, England were a team in transition. After the retirement of Owen Morgan, leadership was handed to Jos Buttler.
Jos Buttler.
Jos Buttler. Jos Buttler. 100 for Jos Buttler. It's Buttler's boys. They are champions of the world.
While Buttler was one of the most destructive batters in world cricket, captaincy was still new territory for him. There were questions not about talent, but about direction. Could this team handle pressure without their World Cup winning captain? England started the tournament with confidence. Their batting looked aggressive, their bowling sharp, and their overall approach modern and fearless.
Deliberate. Oh, that's a big hit. Gave himself room.
Jos Buttler and Alex Hales provided explosive starts at the top, immediately putting opposition teams under pressure. Everything looked in control, but only for a moment. Then came the shock. In a rain-affected game, Ireland stunned England.
Have called the game, and therefore this is a famous victory for Ireland.
An historic win for Ireland here at the MCG. As the rains fell, time ran out for England, and Ireland took the points by virtue of winning by 5 runs under the Dutch.
It wasn't just a loss, it was a reality check. England's aggressive style suddenly looked vulnerable. The margin for error disappeared overnight. Qualification was no longer guaranteed, and the team found themselves in a must-win situation much earlier than expected. From that point on, England changed. They became more calculated, more composed. The reckless aggression was replaced with smart cricket. Bowlers like Sam Curran stepped up massively, controlling the middle overs and breaking key partnerships. Mark Wood added raw pace, creating pressure and forcing mistakes. England were no longer just attacking, they were thinking. Every match started to feel like a knockout game. Against strong opponents, including Australia in their own conditions, England showed maturity. They didn't try to overpower every situation. Instead, they adapted to the pitch, respected the conditions, and executed their plans. Slowly, confidence began to grow again. And then came the semi-final. Facing India, one of the strongest teams in the tournament, England delivered one of the most dominant performances in T20 World Cup history. Chasing a competitive total, Jos Buttler and Alex Hales completely dismantled the Indian bowling attack. There were no risks, no panic, just clean, controlled aggression. England chased the target without losing a single wicket.
England win, and they've given India a real hammering here.
That performance changed everything. In one night, England went from contenders to clear favorites. But the final was a different challenge. Pakistan came in with one of the most dangerous bowling attacks in the tournament. Shaheen Afridi, in particular, had been lethal throughout. The match started exactly how Pakistan would have wanted: tight bowling, early pressure, and England struggling to find rhythm. Runs were hard to come by. Everything felt tense. Then came the turning point. Shaheen Afridi picked up an injury mid-match and was unable to continue his spell. It was a moment that shifted the entire game. England immediately sensed the opportunity. The pressure eased slightly, and the momentum began to swing. But the game was still far from over. England needed someone to stay calm, someone to guide the chase. And once again, it was Ben Stokes. With wickets falling around him and pressure building, Stokes played the perfect innings. He didn't rush. He didn't take unnecessary risks. He absorbed pressure, rotated strike, and waited for the right moments to attack. It was an innings built on experience, patience, and control. Slowly, England moved closer, and when the moment came, Stokes finished it. England were world champions. But this victory wasn't just about one innings or one match. Sam Curran played a massive role throughout the tournament. His ability to deliver in crucial moments, especially with the ball, made him one of England's most valuable players. He consistently broke partnerships, controlled scoring, and handled pressure situations with maturity beyond his years. England's success came from balance. Explosive openers, a reliable middle order, intelligent all-rounders, and disciplined bowling. Every piece worked together. There was no over-reliance on a single player. Everyone contributed when it mattered most, and that's what made the difference. They didn't dominate the entire tournament. They didn't win every game comfortably. But they improved, game by game. They learned from their mistakes. They adapted to pressure. And when the biggest moments arrived, they delivered. With this victory, England made history. They became the first team to hold both the ODI World Cup and the T20 World Cup at the same time, a testament to their dominance in modern white ball cricket. But more importantly, they showed something deeper. That in a format as unpredictable as T20, success doesn't come from perfection. It comes from timing, from staying calm under pressure, from learning faster than your opponents, and from delivering when everything is on the line. England didn't just win the 2022 T20 World Cup. They mastered it. But what made this victory even more special was the journey behind it. This wasn't a team that walked into the tournament as clear favorites and dominated from start to finish. In fact, at one point, England were on the verge of elimination. The loss to Ireland didn't just shake their standings, it exposed their weaknesses. Their aggressive approach, which once looked like a strength, suddenly became a risk, and that's where the real transformation began. Instead of panicking, England adapted. They didn't abandon their style completely, but they refined it. They became smarter in how they attacked, more selective with their shots, and more aware of match situations. This shift in mindset was subtle, but it was crucial. Jos Buttler, as captain, played a key role in this transition. He didn't try to over-control the team or force drastic changes. Instead, he trusted his players, backed their strengths, and allowed them to play with freedom but with responsibility. That balance is rare in T20 cricket, where teams often swing between aggression and caution. England found the perfect middle ground. Another major factor in their success was their depth. Unlike many teams that rely heavily on their top order, England had strength throughout their lineup. Even if the openers failed, the middle order had the power and experience to recover. Players like Ben Stokes brought stability, while others added flexibility depending on the situation. This depth gave England something very important: belief. No matter the situation, they always felt they were still in the game. And then there was their bowling unit. In T20 cricket, matches are often decided in just a few overs, and England understood that perfectly. Their bowlers focused on control rather than just aggression. Variations, slower balls, tight lines, everything was executed with a clear plan. Sam Curran stood out not just because of his wickets, but because of when he took them. Breaking partnerships at the right time, controlling the flow of runs, and handling pressure overs are the moments that define tournaments. Mark Wood added another dimension entirely: raw pace. His ability to bowl consistently fast made it difficult for batters to settle. Even when he didn't take wickets, he created pressure that led to mistakes at the other end. England weren't just playing cricket. They were controlling moments. And that's what separated them from other teams. Because in a tournament like the T20 World Cup, it's not about dominating every game. It's about winning the key moments. The semi-final against India proved that perfectly. England didn't just win, they executed a flawless chase. No panic, no collapse, no wasted opportunities. It was a performance that showed complete control, both mentally and technically. That kind of performance doesn't happen by accident. It comes from preparation, trust, and clarity. And by the time they reached the final, England had all three. Even when Pakistan applied pressure early, England didn't lose composure. They understood that T20 matches can change in a matter of overs. They stayed patient, Ben Stokes' innings in the final is the perfect example of this mindset. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't explosive. But it was exactly what the situation demanded. He read the game perfectly, absorbed the pressure, and guided the team home. In many ways, that innings represented England's entire tournament, controlled, calculated, and effective. And when the winning runs were scored, it wasn't just celebration. It was validation. Validation of a new captain. Validation of a flexible system. Validation of a team that trusted its process, even after setbacks. England didn't just win because they were the most talented team. They won because they were the most complete team. They adapted faster than everyone else. They handled pressure better than everyone else. And most importantly, they delivered when it mattered most. That's what champions do. And that's why England lifted the 2022 T20 World Cup. Not as a team that started strong, but as a team that finished stronger than anyone else. Not as a team that started strong, but as a team that finished stronger than anyone else. And maybe that's the biggest lesson from England's 2022 campaign. Because in T20 cricket, momentum is everything, but timing is even more important. Plenty of teams in the tournament had strong starts. Some dominated the early stages, winning games comfortably and building confidence quickly. But when pressure increased, when the margins became smaller, and when every decision mattered, many of those teams collapsed. England didn't. They improved. Every weakness they showed early in the tournament slowly disappeared. Their batting became more controlled. Their bowling became more precise. Their decision-making became sharper. By the time they reached the knockout stage, they weren't the same team that lost to Ireland. They were better, and that ability to evolve is what defines great teams. Another key factor in England's success was clarity in roles. Every player knew exactly what was expected of them. The openers attacked but with awareness. The middle order stabilized when needed. The finishers closed games with composure. The bowlers executed specific plans depending on the situation. There was no confusion. No hesitation. And in a fast-paced format like T20, that clarity makes all the difference. It allows players to react instantly, without second-guessing themselves. It builds confidence. It builds trust, and England had both. There was also a mental strength in this team that stood out. After losing to Ireland, many teams would have panicked. They would have questioned their strategy, made drastic changes, or lost belief. England did the opposite. They stayed calm, they backed their approach, and they trusted that if they executed properly, results would follow. That kind of mindset doesn't come overnight. It comes from experience, from previous tournaments, from failures that teach valuable lessons. And England used those lessons perfectly. By the time they stepped into the final, they weren't just playing a match. They were executing a plan they had been refining throughout the tournament. Even when Pakistan applied pressure, even when runs were hard to score, England never looked desperate. They looked patient. They understood that T20 cricket isn't always about hitting boundaries every over. Sometimes, it's about surviving the tough phases, and then taking control at the right moment. That's exactly what they did. And when the moment finally came to lift the trophy, it wasn't just about winning a final, it was about completing a journey. A journey that started with uncertainty, faced setbacks, adapted under pressure, and ended in glory. But beyond the trophy, England's 2022 victory left behind something even more important. A blueprint. A blueprint for how to succeed in modern T20 cricket. Not by relying on one superstar. Not by dominating every match. But by building a balanced team, staying flexible, and delivering under pressure. Because in the end, that's what separates champions from contenders. England didn't just play the tournament. They understood it. They didn't just react to pressure. They controlled it. And that's why, when everything was on the line, they were the last team standing. World champions. The final at the Melbourne Cricket Ground wasn't going to be easy. Over 80,000 fans. A massive stage. And a Pakistan side that thrives under pressure. Jos Buttler won the toss and chose to field first, a bold call in a final. Pakistan started carefully. Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan looked to build a steady foundation. But England's plan was clear: don't let them settle. The breakthrough came early. Once Rizwan fell, the pressure shifted instantly. Pakistan slowed down, struggling to accelerate. England's bowlers didn't just bowl, they controlled the game, and at the center of it all was Sam Curran. Calm, precise, relentless. He picked up key wickets, broke partnerships, and completely disrupted Pakistan's momentum. Every time Pakistan tried to rebuild, Curran shut the door. By the end of 20 overs, Pakistan had only managed 137. A total that felt tricky, not impossible but dangerous in a final. Because pressure changes everything. England began their chase with confidence, but Pakistan struck back quickly. Alex Hales fell. Then Phil Salt.
Straight to him.
Suddenly, the game tightened. The crowd felt it. Pakistan believed, and that's when the moment arrived. Ben Stokes walked in, not flashy, not rushed. Just focused. He had been here before finals. Pressure. Expectations. While wickets kept falling around him, Stokes stayed. He didn't chase the game, he controlled it. Singles. Smart shots. Patience. He understood something most players forget in big moments. You don't need to win the game in 1 over. You just need to stay till the end. Pakistan's bowlers kept fighting. Haris Rauf bowled with intensity. Shaheen Shah Afridi looked dangerous. And then, the twist. Shaheen, Pakistan's biggest weapon, pulled up injured. That moment changed everything. The pressure eased, just slightly, but enough. Stokes saw the opportunity, and he finished it. A calm, unbeaten 5-2. Celebration explosion. No wild reaction, just a quiet reminder. He does this. England crossed the line with 6 balls to spare. Champions. But this wasn't just about one match. This was about a journey. From humiliation in 2015 to revolution, to become world champions in both formats. The England cricket team didn't just win a World Cup. They changed how modern cricket is played. Fearless, aggressive, calculated, and most importantly, unshaken under pressure. Because in the end, the difference wasn't skill. It was a belief. England didn't just win the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2022, they completed a legacy. This is the story of a team that rebuilt itself after years of failure, created a fearless identity, and delivered when it mattered most. From Jos Buttler's calm leadership to Alex Hales' shocking return, England entered the tournament with questions but left with answers.
Congratulations. What a performance tonight. How do you feel?
Oh, amazing. It's one of those days where we got a bit nervous, but we've done it. Whoa, what an evening.
What an evening indeed. Could you believe it?
Dominating power plays, trusting aggressive batting, and backing depth over fear, they played a brand of cricket no team could consistently stop. The semi-final? A statement. Crushing India with 0 wickets lost. No panic, no pressure, just control. Then the final against Pakistan. A tense, low-scoring game. Pakistan had the momentum, their bowlers on fire. But England adapted. Sam Curran turned the match with the ball, and Ben Stokes once again stood tall in a final. No chaos. No collapse. Just composure. England didn't chase glory, they engineered it. And with that victory, they became the first team ever to hold both the ODI and T20 World Cups at the same time. This isn't just a win. This is dominance. This is a new era. Cricket has always been a game of pressure. But very few teams have mastered it the way England did in 2022. Because this wasn't just about lifting a trophy, this was about proving a philosophy. A philosophy built after years of heartbreak. Back in 2015, England were humiliated in the ODI World Cup. Knocked out early. Criticized. Written off. But instead of staying broken, they changed everything. They rebuilt their entire system, focusing on aggressive batting, fearless intent, and trusting players to attack no matter the situation. Fast forward to 2019, it worked. England won the ODI World Cup. But they weren't done. By 2022, this same mindset had evolved into something even more dangerous. Led by Jos Buttler, England entered the T20 World Cup with explosive players, flexible roles, and a deep squad that could adapt to any situation. But the journey wasn't smooth. Rain disrupted matches. Performances were inconsistent. Doubts started creeping in again. Were they too aggressive? Too unpredictable? Then came the turning point. The semi-final against India. One of the strongest teams in the world, completely dismantled. England chased 169 without losing a single wicket. No fear. No hesitation. Just pure control. That victory didn't just send them to the final, it sent a message. And waiting for them in the final, Pakistan. A team fueled by momentum. Dangerous bowlers. High confidence. The stage was set. Pressure was at its peak. And in moments like this, only one thing matters: who holds their nerve? Because winning a World Cup isn't about talent alone, it's about composure, decisions, and stepping up when everything is on the line. And England were ready.